Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another dispatch. So, I thought I would read today from Lives of the Artists by Calvin Tomkins. Calvin Tomkins, if folks don't know, was a journalist who wrote for the New Yorker, and he just died a couple weeks ago. He was 100, no kidding. And he wrote profiles of artists, and they were great. And there's a wonderful obit by David Remnick, the editor of the New Yorker, on Calvin Tompkins. Anyway, I got this book some time ago, and now you can actually get I think it's 6 volume Lives of the Artists of like every profile he ever wrote, going all the way back. But I thought I'd pick something. Um, are we recording? Hello. We're hearing, yes, we're hearing noise. Okay. 2006, Jasper Johns just had a show with a focus on his gray stuff. Okay, so we'll start. We'll see how far we go. Um, and maybe we'll continue next week. So, the artist, Jasper Johns, lives alone in a large gray fieldstone house in northwestern Connecticut. Built in the 19th century, the house stands on a hillside overlooking 130 acres of meadows and woods and a distant lake. And from the outside, it has a staid and formal aspect. Inside, Johns has opened it up and cleared away most of the period decor, leaving a suite of sparsely furnished, uncluttered spaces where he has placed works by artists he admires. In the living room, a small oil painting by Cezanne, a version of the famous male bather with outstretched arms, hangs over the fireplace. 12 framed Cezanne drawings rest on shelves in a nearby bookcase. A large freestanding sculpture made of bent and twisted auto body parts by Johns's contemporary John Chamberlain occupies one corner of the room, and a stack of Andy Warhol's Heinz cartons serves as a side table for one of the 2 pale gray armchairs. On a long table across against the far wall, 5 homon, homon, Jomon, pots, rare prehistoric Japanese ceramics. Oh, jomon? I don't know. Okay. Group companionably at the far end. I always wanted 5 of them, John says, and now I have 5. John's, at 76, is an imposing presence. Just over 6 feet tall, with thinning white hair and considerable bulk through the chest and shoulders, he projects a concentrated self-assurance that is less armored than it used to be. Twice before, during the 40 years we have known each other, I have proposed writing about him for the New Yorker. Both times he said he would think about it, and then, a week or so later, he tactfully declined. Recently, I asked him again, and this time he said that he was willing to try, with the understanding, quote, that it might be a failure. I knew what he meant. John's has never been an easy interview. Although he makes a serious effort to answer most questions about his work, attempts to probe into meaning or interpretation annoy him. He prefers to talk about how a work was made, not why. And his answers tend to be literal, succinct, and often opaque. This does not encourage personal revelations. As the art critic Vivian Rayner once wrote in Art News, He has a remoteness that, while very amiable, makes all questions sound vaguely coarse and irrelevant. Johns had suggested I meet him that morning in his painting studio in a converted coach barn about 100 yards from the house. The studio, which occupies half the ground floor, is a big open room with a high ceiling and immense sliding doors at either end. There are several work tables with paints and art supplies neatly laid out. On the wall just to the right of the entrance is a very small, very crude oil sketch by Cezanne of a reclining nude woman. To the left of this door on the wall and clustered on two shelves is a miscellany of disparate objects that Johns likes or that people have sent him because they think he would like them. Two versions of Marcel Duchamp's self-portrait in profile, a geode with water trapped inside it, a tiny Joseph Cornell box, four shadow box frames containing respectively a seahorse, a praying mantis, a large beetle, and a tarantula. Some children's drawings, a micro teapot made from a single penny, several novelty toys, two of which feature an outhouse with a small boy inside who pees on you when you open the door. Johns demonstrated one of them for me. Four recent paintings hung on the back wall. All four were painted in a pattern of irregular, abstract shapes that echoed the flagstone motif Johns had used extensively in the 1960s and 1970s. Three of them were in muted colors, and the fourth was predominantly gray, a color whose tonal complexities have figured prominently in Johns's work throughout his career. This one's title, he said, was Beckett. When I asked why, he told about working with Samuel Beckett on a book in 1976, with writings by Beckett and images by Johns, flagstone images, and also the tight clusters of short, diagonal crosshatch brushstrokes that he was using in many of his pictures then. Sam was looking at some etchings I had made, John said. He held them up very close to his face. He had bad eyesight. And then he said, I'll tell you what I see. Here, pointing to the cross-hatching, I see you try all these paths in different directions, but no matter where you go, you come up against this wall. I asked him whether Beckett's remark, with its ring of comic futility, might have had to do more with Beckett than with Johns. Don't you think that of our interpretations of other people's work sound like us? He said, laughing. That's what's interesting. You get to see yourself another way. Later, we walked over to the main house for lunch. On weekdays, Johns has lunch with his staff. His studio assistant, James Mayer, John Lund, who runs a fully equipped print studio that occupies the other half of the building's ground floor, Sarah Taggart, his longtime secretary and personal assistant, and Taggart's aide, Lynn Kircher. On this Sunday in May, the staff was absent, but Johns's chef had prepared lunch, which was precisely laid out on a side table on antique Japanese plates. Seafood salad, corn salad, asparagus, wild rice, fresh bread, and sautéed morels, gathered that morning from a spot that Johns pointed out to me under an oak tree where they appear at this time every year. There were three paintings in the dining room, each with a wall to itself. A small, metallic image of the American flag, the subject of Johns's 1954 breakthrough work, hung over the fireplace. It is actually a cast in silver of a collage that Johns made for Robert Rauschenberg in the early 1960s. One of Cy Twombly's large blackboard paintings with white scribbled lines on a black background occupied a side wall, and a 1963 silkscreen painting by Rauschenberg called Cove was on the wall facing the Johns flag. During lunch, I started to ask him about what had struck me in the studio as a return to his abstract period of the 1970s, but he cut me short. "What are you talking about?" he said. I said I was referring to the flagstone and the crosshatch motifs. "If you consider that abstraction," John said, "those stupid marks." "Most people do," I said. "Well, I don't know that I think of my other work as representational," he said. "This is an idea that isn't mine. If I meet someone I don't know, someone slightly naive, and they ask me what I do, I say I'm a painter. And if they ask what kind of painter, I say an abstract painter. It's a way to get out of saying anything else. Or I just say I'm a modern artist, but I don't know what kind of an artist I am." It's so good. Woo! Well, I guess I should pause. It's so good. All right. Jasper Johns. Okay, I will put in some images. I'll get this out to you all. Tick, tick, tick. It's Boulder Arts Week here in Colorado, in Boulder. If you're in town, come on by. We've got some free demos and conversations and things to whatever. I don't know if there are going to be any bagels, though. Last year I had bagels. No one came for the bagels. I ended up having a lot of bagels and strawberry cheesecake. No, strawberry cream cheese for the bagels. Anyway, all right. Take care. Keep making stuff. Bye.